All right, coming to you live from the nation's capital as we continue special coverage from Washington this week. Fighting for you for the foxhole freedom no matter where it may be, and this is a warning. Steve Gruber Show often results in extended periods of American pride, optimism, and uncontrollable enthusiasm about America's future. We're kicking off a live broadcast day here in Real America's Voice and MTN and reaching a growing global audience. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Thank you for being here. Here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one of the major players at the DNC has been caught on camera admitting Joe Biden was not running the country, but instead it was being run by his handlers. No surprise, but now it's on tape. Number two, in the Oval Office Wednesday, President Trump said he has warned Israel to keep cool and not attack Iran in the near future so they can keep nuclear talks on track. And number three, finally, maybe the Republican-controlled House is waking up and preparing to do what the American voters demanded by electing President Donald Trump. The White House reportedly now looking to send DOGE cuts to Congress next week, according to several GOP senior officials per Politico. You guys have been filling my inbox and social media feeds with concerns that DOGE cuts have turned into nothing more than a fairy tale. I hear you. So does the White House, apparently, and it's apparently ready to take action to deliver on one of the biggest promises of all. One package cutting $9.4 billion expected on Capitol Hill next week, aimed at slashing funds for NPR, PBS, and foreign aid agencies. It's what we like to call a pretty good start. This is actually a package that was promised in April, but it's been starting to feel a lot like Americans, like Republicans, were dragging their feet, which is not a good look. The One Big Beautiful Bill really kicked off a campaign online of Americans who were frustrated, angry, that the spending bill didn't include any of the DOGE cuts. That's what I've been hearing from you, a lot of you. And what I'm seeing Americans all over the internet say, here's one such voter. Listen.
If you are a member of Congress and you are refusing to codify the DOGE cuts of waste, fraud, and abuse of hardworking American tax dollars, either side of the aisle, whether you're Democrat or Republican, you're part of the problem, and you need to go home. The American people are sick and tired of you mismanaging our money and spending it wildly on your pet projects, lining your pockets and the pockets of your special interests, donors, and friends and family. You are the god problem, and you need to be replaced in November of 2026. Let's go.
Let's go. She voices for a lot of folks that are frustrated and angry. Kentucky Representative Thomas Massey was especially vocal about this, leading him to be one of just two House Republicans to vote no on the bill in the first place. Still needs to pass the Senate, but some Republican senators have the same concerns. Among those, Senator Ron Johnson, who I've spoken to right here on this program, heated as that woman. When asked about his opposition to this bill, here's what he said.
I couldn't care less if he's upset. I'm concerned about my children, my grandchildren, and the fact that we are stealing from them. We are stealing from our children and grandchildren. $37 trillion in debt, and we're going to add to it as Republicans? That is unacceptable. And that's why there's no way I'm going to vote for this bill in its current form.
No way. Exactly what he said on this program a couple of times in the last couple of weeks. Later, he says he wants President Trump's agenda to succeed, but we can't do that while also cutting spending. He says he wants to get back to pre-pandemic spending, 2019. Here's more.
Well, DOGE has shown us the way. You have to go line by line, contract by contract. I think a small business probably spends more time going line by line through its budget than Congress does through a $7,000 billion a year budget. Again, we do it the same old way. So again, go back there as a business person would. This would be a 5-minute conversation in a business. Say, guys, I told you could increase your budget based on inflation and the number of customers we serve. You're 10% above that. Cut it. Get back down to a reasonable level. We need President Trump to lead on this. He needs to be fully committed to not funding the deep state at President Biden's levels.
Yeah. There you go. Senator Rand Paul also sharing the same sentiment. Rand Paul, another one of those likely no votes from the Republicans. Here he is.
I supported the tax cuts in 2017. I support making them permanent, so I support that part of the bill. I support spending cuts. I think the cuts currently in the bill are wimpy and anemic, but I still would support the bill, even with wimpy and anemic cuts, if they weren't going to explode the debt. The problem is the math doesn't add up. They're going to explode the debt by, the House says $4 trillion. The Senate's actually been talking about exploding the debt $5 trillion. This year in September, when our fiscal year ends, the deficit will be about $2.2 trillion. Now, people used to always say, the Republicans would say, what's Bidenomics? That's Biden spending levels. Well, in March, every Republican, virtually every Republican other than me, voted to continue the Biden spending levels, which are going to give us a $2.2 trillion deficit. Now, if you increase the debt ceiling $4 to $5 trillion, that means they're planning on $2 trillion this year and more than $2 trillion next year. That's just not conservative. So I've told them if they strip out the debt ceiling, I'll consider, even with the imperfections, voting for the rest of the bill. But I can't vote to raise the debt ceiling $5 trillion. There's got to be someone left in Washington who thinks debt is wrong and deficits are wrong and wants to go in the other direction.
Yeah, Rand Paul. Now, the Senate, as you know, needs 51 votes for the reconciliation bill to pass. There are 53 Republicans. Kentucky Senator Rick Scott, Florida Senator Rick Scott says he can't vote for the bill the way it is either. That's one more saying no. Listen.
All of it, Ron Johnson, Rand Paul, Mike Lee, all of us, we want a bill to pass. We want a good bill. We want a bill that secures the border. We want President Trump's agenda. We want to make sure we plus up the military. We want to make sure all the DOGE opportunities to reduce costs are part of this bill, and then this bill to the extent we can. But guess what? The Democrats have increased the budget by over 50% in the last 5 years. The House bill cuts the spending by less than 2% over the next 10 years. It doesn't balance the budget. It isn't even close to balancing the budget. So there's a whole bunch of us. We are going to fight like hell to balance this budget. Oh, absolutely, I'd vote no. This bill doesn't have it. If they brought it to the floor like right now, there's not a chance that it'll get the 51 votes it needs.
No chance that it'll get the 51 votes it needs. Why are we not hearing this from more Republicans? That's the question. Many are more eager to enact President Trump's agenda than worry about the deficit, and others say this isn't the time or place. That's what the White House says, at least according to Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller. Yeah, Stephen Miller says that. He says it's not time right now to do this. Contrary to what Senator Rand Paul says, Miller says the bill does not explode the debt because the Congressional Budget Office got it wrong. He says the assumption is, quote, based entirely on CBO claiming that extending the current tax rates, not raising them, will cost the government $4 trillion in revenue. President Trump campaigned on the issue of tax cuts. This should not come as a big surprise to anyone. So why can't we fund those tax cuts with DOGE cuts? We're going to hold it right there. Hold it right there, because we've got a lot more to discuss, including that comment and that quote right there. All right, good to see you here. Don't forget to follow me. We're looking for 25 new followers on Instagram, Facebook, and X today. Can you do that for me? Go ahead and get that done. I'll be right back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. All right, as I said, Donald Trump campaigned on tax cuts, as you know. It's no surprise to anyone that he wants to save the American taxpayer money and put more money back in their pockets. So why can't we fund those cuts with DOGE cuts? Miller explains, quote, DOGE cuts are to discretionary spending. Under Senate budget rules, you cannot cut discretionary spending, only mandatory in a reconciliation bill. So DOGE cuts would have to be done through what is known as a rescission package or an appropriations bill. And now, the rescissions package is what we're waiting to see next week, potentially. Mind you, the package that's coming cuts over $9 billion, which is a good start, but Elon Musk had trillions of dollars in savings in mind. And there's over $1 trillion in DOGE cuts. He was also hoping to see those cuts come through in the bill. Here's what Elon said.
I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the DOGE team is doing.
I actually thought that when this big, beautiful bill came along, everything he's done on Doge gets wiped out in the first year.
I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't know if it can be both. My personal opinion.
It could be big, it could be beautiful. Can it be both? Apparently not. Apparently not. Americans have grown tired of bureaucracy, and Doge was supposed to be the reversal of that, a way to cut down on bloated government. That's what Americans voted for. So if the Patriots that turned out last year don't see those promises coming to fruition, I'm afraid they're not going to turn out next year. I think a lot of elected leaders are realizing the same, prompting Speaker Johnson to tweet this. Here's what the Speaker put out. The House is eager and ready to act on Doge's findings so we can deliver even more cuts to big government that President Trump wants and the American people demand. Now, he says we'll do that in two ways. First, when the House, the White House that is, sends its rescissions package to the House, we will act quickly by passing legislation to codify the cuts. And second, the House will use the appropriations process to swiftly implement President Trump's 2026 budget. House Republicans are acting quick to voice their support, at least for this measure. Congressman Brandon Gill saying, quote, "We passed the one big beautiful bill out of the House. Now let's codify the Doge cuts. We don't have time to waste." Representative Mary Miller seeming to shift the blame onto who? I'm not sure, saying, quote, "Every Doge cut targets waste, fraud, and abuse. Congress must codify them quickly. What's the holdup?" Well, it doesn't help that Congress is on vacation this week, adding fuel to the fire burning hot in many Americans' minds that Congress is too slow to act on anything important, frankly. Congressman Tony Weed echoing that sentiment, quote, "We were sent to Washington by the American people to root out waste, fraud, and abuse in our government. We need to start voting on Doge cuts now." It's the message. It just needs to actually be put into place, into action. The rescissions package is a start, but Representative Jim Jordan says, let's keep the ball rolling. Here he is.
We need a rescission package. We need the White House to send us. I would do every single one. Put them in one big bill, put them in multiple bills, put them in one a day. I don't care. But send those to Capitol Hill. And when the White House says, okay, this money was allocated, we're going to rescind this, we have the same, we get the same deal with the Senate. You don't need 60 votes, you can do it with 50. So let's rescind some of those Sesame Street in Iraq, paying money for Big Bird and Bert and Ernie in Baghdad is stupid. So let's rescind some NPR. We had a hearing on this. Like, that's also what we need in addition to codifying some of those executive orders.
It's not only that. I would go even beyond that. As a taxpayer, to see where your money is going, it's frustrating. Then you see, okay, where was that money actually going? We all kind of we want to see people held accountable for this, and maybe arrested for this. I mean, this was huge amounts of taxpayer money that was just totally wiped off the face of the earth. We don't know. Do you think it really cost $60 million for a gay Sesame Street in Baghdad? I don't think so. So where was the money really going? I mean, I think there's so much more to this thing that meets the eye here.
Yeah. Now, and look, we're investigating all kinds of things. We may need to dig into that too. But let's at least stop it. Let's at least rescind the money. Say no more. You can't do that. We want the money back to use to help pay down some of the deficit.
Yeah, one a day. One a day. That would be a massive way of showing voters you're serious about this. What Elon Musk did was great, and he took quite the hit for it. Ever since he started exposing waste, fraud, and abuse in this government, we've seen Tesla dealerships vandalized, firebombed by unhinged lunatics. I don't want his work to be in vain. This interview seems to suggest that Musk is so discouraged by the lack of progress being made that he doesn't see the point in continuing the fight. Listen to this.
In terms of political spending, I'm going to do a lot less in the future.
And why is that?
I think I've done enough.
Is it because of blowback?
Well, if I see a reason to do political spending in the future, I will do it. I do not currently see a reason.
Yeah.
Okay. What about...
Musk was only ever appointed as a temporary employee, but I think he's left the White House and Congress with their work cut out for them. They've got 4 years still to get it done. I think it's important to point out that the one big beautiful bill, $1.6 trillion in cuts for mandatory spending, mainly in ending Biden-era green energy subsidies and kicking illegals out of the country and off Medicaid. $1.6 trillion doesn't even touch discretionary, which is what Musk focused on. So let's have our cake and eat it too, shall we? Let's move forward with the tax cuts, the border investment, securing of Medicaid for the vulnerable. Then let's load up on rescission package after rescission package and cut back on discretionary spending too. That's what we need to do. Speaking of budgeting, by the way, while corrupt elites got rich off crypto, hardworking American patriots were left behind. Not anymore. Block trust, IRA. Changing that, bringing the crypto opportunity to real Americans like you. With crypto fueling President Trump's America First economic miracle and J.D. Vance as well, now is your chance to join the movement. The Animus AI trading platform runs 24/7, crushing old school strategies and helping patriots like you build serious wealth just like the elites. Named the #1 crypto tech platform by Bitcoin Magazine, Block Trust IRA offers up to $200 million of protection, and their clients are seeing some returns of 250%. Whether you're a teacher, trucker, retiree, whatever it might be, get up to $2,500 in bonus crypto when you sign up now. Go to SteveGruberCrypto.com. SteveGruberCrypto.com. Making retirement great again. It's worth a look, my friends. I'll be right back.